And the very good time that Doug Vaughan had with his victims' money. Vacations, gambling, jewelry, lots of wine, and even more. For the first time, we're getting a look into how convicted Ponzi schemer Doug Vaughan spent his time and investors' money.
Vaughan will face a federal judge for sentencing next week for taking 700 investors for a $74 million ride. And the chief prosecutor has written a scathing letter asking that Vaughan get the max. Here's News 13's Katie Kim.
Vaughan is looking at 10 to 12 years in prison. Prosecutors and his defense agree that's equivalent to a life sentence for the 64-year-old. But the feds are making their case to make sure his victims are given some justice.
It was a high-flying, mansion-building, Ferrari driving, Vegas gambling life that Doug Vaughan led. Those words from federal prosecutor Greg Farrat. He says Vaughan lived like a king in what's been dubbed as his Ponzi Palace, a 4-bed, 7-bath mansion complete with poolside cabana and 400-bottle wine cellar that he built on the Tanawan golf course. Farrat also says Vaughan, quote, spent like a sailor on shore leave, charging almost $800,000 in 5 years for luxuries, including more than $250,000 for travel, $146,000 on clothes and jewelry, $153,000 on furniture. All this while his victims were duped into investing their life savings into Vaughan's failed real estate company. Vaughan pled guilty to his crimes last December.
Lot number 6 on the tapestry.
Vaughan's possessions were auctioned off. His mansion sold to the lowest bidder for $1.4 million. All chump change for the more than $70 million he owes investors. He was facing up to 475 years in prison, but he took a plea deal and now will spend 10 to 12 years instead. His defense argues 10 years is long enough, saying the additional 2 years won't help Vaughan pay back his victims. They're also asking a judge to allow Vaughan to spend a portion of his sentence in a drug abuse program for his alcohol problem. But Farrat says that's his attempt to avoid prison for a year. Prosecutors say they don't buy his, quote, addiction to Chardonnay, saying a lot of people drink wine on a daily basis, and doctors even recommend it. Farrat instead will ask for the maximum of 12 years, a price to pay, he says, for Vaughan's, quote, treachery.
Farrat is asking the courts to remand Vaughan into custody after his sentencing, which is scheduled for next Wednesday. Back to you.
Okay, Katie, you may remember Greg Farrat. He was the U.S. attorney in Albuquerque who was handling former Governor Bill Richardson's alleged pay-to-play scheme. When the feds decided not to charge Richardson and 2 former aides who were part of the investigation, Farrat wrote another letter, making it clear that it was not an exoneration. Farrat wrote the Richardson administration did corrupt the process that helped a political contributor get a state contract.